Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Bernard Borghei, the co-founder and executive vice president of operations at a company called Vertical Bridge. Thanks for joining us, Bernard.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
To start out with, tell us what Vertical Bridge is all about.
Vertical Bridge is the largest privately held tower and telecom infrastructure company in the country. We build and own different types of towers and manage locations such as billboards and rooftops, any physical asset that could be used to deploy telecommunication equipment on.
And what we have you on the line for really is to talk a little bit about 5G and make some sense of this for all of us consumers out there. First of all, give us an overall picture of what 5G is and how it's different from, I guess, the LTE networks that we have out there today that are so prevalent.
Right. So, 5G is really this grand standard that's supposed to bring everything together in order to allow for all communications to happen on wireless networks. The standards are designed to be at least 20 times faster than today's LTE networks. The bandwidth will be much higher, and an ultra low latency requirement is included in this standard, which enables real-time communication and response time using wireless networks, which today we don't have. I mean, best case scenario for us is 30 to 50 milliseconds of latency in the current LTE networks that we have. And so 5G it promises to finally bring to fruition the promises of smart cities, instant wireless communications, high quality, high definition, low latency video and streaming picture quality, and also the ability to connect billions of devices and sensors wirelessly to the telecom networks.
And is this does this also have the potential to replace the wired internet connections that we have in our homes from Verizon, cable companies, etc.?
When the networks mature and when the coverage becomes ubiquitous and the standards are all finalized and deployed, it will certainly replace the wireline connectivity in the areas where the peak performances match what the standards are calling for. I think, unfortunately, we're always going to have certain, rural areas that may not have the robust coverage that they need to have in order to do away with their wireline connectivities. But if you're in downtown New York or Philadelphia or Boston and Los Angeles, you certainly will see that day. It's not yet here. It would be another 5 to 6 years. But you will see that day where you can have enough confidence in your wireless connectivity to do away with your wireline.
So tell us about the roadmap for this. How quickly, I mean, some carriers are already rolling things out, I guess, in very limited areas. What do you think the roadmap looks like?
Yeah, so, I'd like to try to give you a pictorial example. If 4G and LTE standard was 6 inches wide, 5G is 1.5 feet. It's a big standard. It's a massive standard. It is going to take time to deploy a true standalone mobility-based 5G network. And so, we're looking at least, another 5, 8 to 10 years. It all depends on how the market responds and how the operators can actually monetize the applications and the services for 5G, and therefore how quickly they will continue to invest in it. But, it's not going to be a 1 or 2 year upgrade. LTE itself was deployed over 4 or 5 years, but 9 to 10 years later, we're still working on densification of LTE networks. So 5G will take at least, 6 to 10 years when we're talking about a standalone mobility network. What you're seeing today is mainly fixed wireless 5G deployments. So, trying to bring OTT over-the-top services from one location, which is the transmitter side on a tower, to somebody's home. And there are plans for mobility services, limited services to be launched by the couple of the operators here in the U.S. in limited markets. But those would be based on 5G radios at the tower sites. However, the core network, the backbone of the network, will still be running on LTE. The standalone 5G, which would be a core network based on 5G standards, and the 5G radios, it's still some time away. And some of the standards, such as the Release 16, are going to be finalized, next spring. So this is why I'm telling you that in order to really realize the fulfillment of the 5G promise, we need to be a bit more patient. It's going to be at least another 5 to 6 years for us.
Despite all of the advertising that we see going on and some of the phones that are showing up.
Yeah, so you have to separate technology and performance from marketing, right? And so, again, there are 5G radios deployed, and those radios are based on the NR standard for 5G. However, the core networks are not 5G. The core networks of a 5G network will be in the cloud, will be virtualized. That's how you're going to achieve the ultra-low latency that the 5G standard is asking for. And so, for me, a true 5G network can't be just on the radio side. It also has to be on the core network side, and that's where we are some ways away.
Now, the proposed merger between Sprint and T-Mobile is something that the companies have said can really advance their ability to deploy 5G, but there seem to be some roadblocks, one after another, coming in the way between getting that approved. What are your thoughts?
Well, we have publicly said 2 or 3 times, and I think 2 weeks ago, my partner, who's the CEO of our company, Alex Gilman, wrote an op-ed as well, which was published and well received. We are in favor of this merger. Basically, the Vertical Bridge has a relationship with all of the carriers in the country. And we do believe that if we really want to win this 5G race against China and some of the other countries that our political leaders are concerned about, and rightly so, that you need to have strong, well-capitalized, competitive operators that are going to push each other to continue to invest in the wireless network. And I think Sprint is at really a weaker position, and they would be lagging deploying 5G. And T-Mobile, it's been really an aggressive operator, building out networks, increasing the quality of their network in a very efficient manner. But if they can merge together, our view is that it's better to have 3 healthy operators that are capitalized to invest in their network than having 4 operators where number 1 and 2 are ways ahead of number 3 and 4, and therefore won't feel the competitive pressure to invest in their wireless network. But we do understand there are other forces, and there's some emotional issues of jobs and things like that come into play. However, from a pure economics and technology deployment standpoint, we believe that this merger makes sense.
Interesting perspective. So, in wrapping things up here, what's the message to consumers here? It sounds like you're going to need a lot of patience.
Well, you're going to start seeing things get better with your sort of wireless networks. There are going to be certain applications that are going to deploy based on the new radios, and you're going to see some edge computing applications being deployed, which on an LTE network, perhaps the performance wouldn't be as desirable. And one of the things that could expedite some of the deployment of the 5G networks that I just referred to is that this is the first time in our industry where the enterprise community is actually pushing the wireless industry to hurry up and deploy 5G. When we went from analog to 2G, 3G, and 4G, everybody waited for us to write the standard, deploy it, And then they said, oh, okay, I can work on this network because it can do X, Y, and Z's. And you ended up with Ubers and Lyfts of the world, which have been great for all of us. This is the first time that everybody has really understood how powerful 5G can be. And there is a tremendous momentum from the enterprise community pushing the telecom industry to say, hurry up, get the standards in place, deploy these things, because I want to use it the way I'm envisioning 5G to work with us. So we have that opportunity to maybe expedite and incentivize the carriers to deploy 5G, quicker than the next 6 to 7 years. But what I would tell to your listeners and consumers is that when 5G is fully in place, life will be much more efficient, and it will be a lot different than what we're seeing today, when everything is communicating wirelessly, and all devices and all things will be communicating, with the various telecommunication networks that they're reporting to, from safety, security, smart cities, utilities, and entertainment. Everything will be positively impacted by 5G. So it is an exciting time. It is truly, the fourth industrial revolution that we've embarked on.
Oh, it sounds like there's an awful lot of promise here. Is this network much more expensive to build out than, say, the 4G LTE?
It will be, because it requires a lot more ubiquitous coverage, and now you truly have to have what we refer to as heterogeneous network architecture, which is not only you need your towers, but you got to deploy the small cells as well, and you have to start increasing the performance of your network coverage inside the buildings too. So a lot more nodes will be added, and a lot more investment in virtualizing the core network will be spent as well. So yeah, the carriers are looking at a hefty bill to fully deploy 5G.
And as you said, the race is on to get this done. What's the problem or the threat in having other countries such as China take the lead?
So if you look at how life will be governed by everything 5G based, now you have to start looking at safety and security. When all the networks from utilities, water, gas, electricity, aviation, when all of those communications will start being governed by the 5G standard, you want to be the first one to deploy and be ahead of everybody else to sort of understand how you can use these applications and how you can protect yourself against potential nefarious intents. And also, when you take the lead, you can start setting the standards for some of these applications, rather than having other people take the lead and sort of tell everybody else this is how we're going to do it. So there's definitely a safety and homeland security concern here. Not concern, but a challenge that we need to know what 5G is. We need to deploy it the way we want to see it and be able to really protect ourselves and secure it. And then there's also the fact that the leadership position in the world sets us up right to sort of take the lead and have everybody else follow what we've done, which is what happened in LTE. At the end of the day, the most useful applications in LTE, such as Uber and Lyft, came once again from the United States, and everybody else is using them. So it is imperative for us to maintain that type of technological leadership position that we've had.
Interesting, and a lot to look forward to. Bernard Borghei, thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you. Happy to talk to you.
Now this. Innovation. Hi, I'm Fred Fishkin, and I've been covering consumer technology for a long time, and it takes a lot to impress me. That's why I'm excited to tell you about the latest way to enjoy cooking in the great outdoors from my friend Patrick Sherwin and his great team at GoSun Stove. What if you could harness the sun to cook your meals anywhere you go, day or night? The GoSun Fusion arrives this summer using the company's tried and true reflectors and a solar vacuum tube to get you cooking without the mess of charcoal, heavy propane tanks, or smoke. And with an optional solar panel and battery storage, and the ability to plug in at home or on the road, You really can use the GoSun Fusion to cook anytime and anywhere. Want to learn more? Head to gosun.co and use the code Techstination to save 10%. That's gosun.co.